Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we take a look at the astrological energies from November 8th until November 15th. And wow, what a week ahead we have. In fact, we have a lot of energy in motion and opening up through the rest of November because we have a powerful interaction between Mars and the Sun unfolding over the next few weeks. We will be talking about that in today's show. Plus, we have Venus entering Libra on November 8th, followed by Mercury entering Sagittarius on November 9th. Then a very dynamic Scorpio New Moon at 21 degrees of Scorpio on November 13th that could even feel like an eclipse. So a lot to get into in today's show, and a lot of forward motion is now here. There is going to be an acceleration. There could be a lot going on. You could feel this quickening at multiple levels of your being. And you could also feel like there's something you're ready for. In fact, as we approach the Scorpio New Moon, there could be a sense of anticipation and expectations. There could be a part of you that's even tapping into powerful changes that are coming through that you're sensing, you're feeling, even if you don't see it, even if it's not real yet. And this is because we have strong Scorpio energy right now that is gaining illumination, that's gaining traction, that is meant to help us bust through something, specifically a fear, a truth, anywhere we've been in denial or repressing something, any parts of ourselves that we've been scared to look at, or perhaps not wanting to accept something that we've been struggling with or struggling against. And when we have the Sun and Mars traveling together, first of all, this only happens every 2 years. And as Mars and the Sun get closer, what happens is Mars starts to disappear in the light of the Sun, where we can't see Mars, but his energy is present and he is adding more fuel to the fire of the Sun's power, and it amplifies what Mars is really wanting to do. So this week, we have the Mars energy coupling with the Sun. They're only a few degrees apart, and they will make an exact conjunction November 17th. And so we're in that phase of the energies building, and we're feeling it increase. And when the Sun and Mars are together, there can be a lot of potentials here. It can make you more competitive. It could make you more volatile. There can be things that trigger anger and impatience more easily. That Mars can be spouting off and yelling and throwing tantrums because there's something internally that needs to be moved through, that needs to be released. Now, the Sun conjunct Mars can also be very confident and heroic. It's where you're ready to step into new courage. You're ready to go for it. So I'm getting this visual of being at the beginning of a new starting point that feels like we're waiting for a buzzer or some kind of signal from the universe to go off, kind of like this: on your marks, get ready, set, and then the buzzer goes off and the energy just lets loose. That's part of this anticipatory energy this week. That's part of where you could be feeling ready to go or restless, almost like you want something to move ahead. You want to break free. You want to be done with whatever has been restraining you. Sort of like being exhausted from overthinking or feeling like you're held captive by a fear. This energy is going to let it out. And that can, of course, be in healthy ways as well as unhealthy ways. And so what I would say is that this is a time to be very aware of what you're doing and what you're saying, especially if you are naturally an instigator or you provoke, or you're someone who doesn't mind any kind of disagreement. this can all be ramped up at this time. So this energy needs to be handled with greater intentionality, because this is where there can also be accidents. And not only are we having this intensification between the Sun and Mars making a conjunction, but they are both going to be opposing Uranus retrograde in Taurus at 21 degrees. And that brings in the unexpected next level developments where things can be quite volatile, quite shocking, and so disruptive that it can override our systems. So there's something about this particular week where you want to really trust what you're feeling, to trust your energy in the depths of Scorpio, and to look at what is coming up for you that you feel you have to fight for or fight against. What are you looking to prove? Where are you feeling competitive? Because these are the areas of Mars's expression that we want to consciously work with. And yes, there are times when we will have to step up for something, to stand in our own power, to be clear in what we want, who we are. Mars supports that. And when Mars is conjunct the sun's energy actually overpowers Mars and will shine a light and amplify more of what your true motivation is. And so when your motivation is about personal integrity, self-respect, standing strong in your needs, in who you are, in being very aware of what you put energy towards versus just recklessly throwing it all around or taking everything as something to respond to or a dig or a trigger, you'll exhaust yourself out. And this Mars could do that this week. If he isn't intentional, if he isn't aware of, is this worth it? Is this where I want my energy to go? What's in it for me? What's the payoff here? And where does this take me to? Where does this lead to? Now, the Sun conjunct Mars happens every 2 years, and it's actually a new beginning point here where this Mars is ready to start a new cycle. And what's really beautiful about this energy is that, yes, it's strong during the Scorpio New Moon on November 13th, but it's in effect for a number of weeks. So there could be things that you're really working through and you're really making progress on some deeper limitations and fears. And you're also feeling that you're growing, because part of what this energy is going to be doing is elevating us. And if we think of Mars as masculine energy, just as Venus is associated with feminine energy, there's something about this Martian energy expanding into a new sense of self. This can be a rebirth of masculine energy. This can be an ascension into the next level understanding of what evolved masculine energy is about, how it shows up. And I'm feeling this as some type of deep transformation in masculine energy that is quite empowering and courageous, quite beautiful. It feels like the masculine is ascending. And this can be very personal, very internal and private, which is the case with Scorpio energy. But that's where the deeper work has been happening. And I feel a masculine energy that is rising up into a new version of itself. And this could certainly be something that you're feeling within yourself, regardless of your gender or your sex, because we are composed of feminine and masculine energies. And perhaps you can see how you're growing, and that maybe you would have made one choice from a lower consciousness of Mars energy, which again is going into being competitive with everyone, trying to force your way through, trying to dominate, only being about oneself because Mars can be quite selfish. Well, this is rising up into seeing something in a new way, a higher perspective, and that then provides the forward momentum for how this Mars is transforming and is making new commitments to himself around how he's going to intentionally use his energy. And I'm feeling that there is also a very strong energy around contrast. The contrast of perhaps who you were versus who you are now, or a contrast between people in your life, people in your world, maybe just a contrast that is illuminating something and showing it to you in a whole new way, a whole new light. And that is one of the more powerful manifestations here of the Sun and Mars, each being opposite Uranus in Taurus. And this energy is the strongest November 11th, even November 10th, until November 18th. So a good week of this energy being very influential and something that we're feeling. So that's why I'm focusing in on this right away, because it's more of the dominant energy in the collective field right now, where again, the Sun and Mars are in Scorpio opposing Uranus in Taurus, and then we're going to have the energies continue to play out through November. So where I'm seeing this energy show up, and it's quite interesting, I'm just going to trust what's coming through here, is that Scorpio is a very relational energy. It's how we relate to other people through a very deep desire to connect. And one of the purest forms of Scorpio is being vulnerable and raw. It's basically the TV show Naked and Afraid, where, yeah, being naked could show you where you're afraid to be your true self, the vulnerability of it. But that's also where it's highly relatable. It's a universal theme that we don't choose vulnerability at times. We don't step into that and open up right away. We want to ensure we can trust people. We want to ensure that they have our back or that they are trustworthy. And so throughout our lives, we have multiple experiences of what trust is and what trust is not. And it's often where we are betrayed or where we feel that someone has turned on us, manipulated us, is perhaps instigating power dynamics, or there's betrayal, or there's any need here to control your energy, is what we often recall, of what we often remember. And the visual I'm getting here, especially in regards to the contrast, is that when you are ready to bust through to the next level of trusting yourself, which is the case with all of the water sign energies. The water signs are learning to trust what they're feeling, to trust their intuition, to understand the wisdom in it, and to accept it without the mind or ego overriding those intuitive messages. Well, with this energy, there could be something manifesting in your life that is a contrast or a challenge to your intuition. Sort of like you're feeling like, oh, I should do this, I should say this, or I should try that. And then you have someone in your life saying, no, you shouldn't. That's a bad idea. Don't do that. It's not going to play out for you. It's not the way to go. And you're like, but I have to take this road trip to New York. And they give you all the reasons why you should not take the road trip to New York. And they're telling you why it doesn't make sense, why it's not logical, why it could be damaging, or all the bad things that could happen, or the cost of gas is too much. And they're basically stirring up the fears, but they also are representing another part of your own consciousness that maybe is your mind. And maybe they are representing the parts of yourself that you're not trusting. And here they are in physical form right in front of you, telling you why you should not go on that road trip to New York. And then you're in this battle between your own intuition and your mind about what to do. And this is actually a very common experience as we are ascending and we are stepping into more of our spiritual power and trusting our spiritual path, is that we have these energies show up right in front of us. Again, it could be someone that you know as a coworker, as a friend, as a family member. They are representing where you're not trusting yourself. That's what they're doing. They're showing you where you're not trusting your intuition and what you're sensing and what you're desiring. And they're also perhaps revealing where you're giving your energy to the mind. You're giving the energy to the parts of yourself that want to play it safe or not bust out of a comfort zone. And that's what the dialogue is about at an energetic level. And it's also the universe giving you a test around if you're willing to trust your intuition or if you're going to give your power away to your mind, to something else that is represented by this other person. I'm now getting the visual of a parent, where even a parent is perhaps dimming down your intuitive messages and is not supportive, is not giving you 2 thumbs up to go for it. And that could certainly be for many reasons, but also it directly relates to their own belief system. Where if somebody hasn't lived their life honoring their intuition and trusting themselves, they surely aren't going to support you in doing that because they don't know that way of living. They don't know that experience of what it means to trust what you're feeling and to go for it. The energy of this week and into next week is bringing this up, is bringing up this contrast. Perhaps it's bringing up somebody who opposes you, somebody who's showing you your own internal dynamic between your mind and your intuition. And it could even be that there's something here that you're willing to face and break through with this particular energy signature, again, of this week and next week. These are periods of breakthroughs for your own good, busting through the fears, stepping into more of your empowerment, and even doing something on your own or for yourself because you're trusting who you are now. And so going back to this dynamic with somebody outside of you saying, don't do it, horrible idea, don't go to New York, what they're also revealing is how you give your power away. And that's a Scorpio theme. How you give your power away either to another person's opinions, telling you how to live your life, which in that case, you should just let them live your life for you, right? Like that's basically what you're saying. You're like, I comply. Sure, you can make my life decisions for me. Sure, you know my energy better than I know my energy. This is all a disempowering interaction that the universe is showing you. And the only way to bust through it is to stand more in your strength, in your power, trust what your intuition is saying to you, trust what's rising up for you, and to allow that to guide you forward, because then what you're doing is you're taking your power back and you're like, here, you can have your 2 cents. I don't need it. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. I know what's right for me. I trust myself. I trust my intuition. I trust that the universe is supporting me. The universe is speaking to me so loudly. Why would I give that power away to this other person or these other people? So this is what's coming up this week that could also stir up turmoil or even the disagreements around what is best for you. And so with the Sun conjunct Mars, this is a reset in self-empowerment. And what are you going to choose? What are you going to do? Because the opposition to Uranus means not everyone's going to be happy, but who cares? Like if you're waiting around for everyone to agree with you or everyone to be happy for you all the time, then you might as well turn yourself into a fossil now, because that never happens. It's more about, why does this individual have such an interest in my choices? What's in it for them? What are they motivated by? And these are also Scorpio themes, hidden motivations, secret agendas. Why would they not support me? Why would they not want what's best for me? Why are they not willing to listen to what I feel is important and support that? Well, because we're dealing with human nature and we're dealing with so many different types of belief systems and life experiences that people embody. And what can come up, especially when you are the leader of a soul group, when you are the first one, and often that feels like the black sheep, that feels like the one who has been alienated or cast away. That's the person who maybe even feels like they've been marginalized. But spiritually, you could be that leader of a soul group. And here is where you are breaking out of your previous conditioning of what you thought it meant to fit in or to belong, what you thought you needed from others. A big, big theme in our ascension process is reminding yourself that you have everything you need. You have it. You don't need external validation from everyone. Sure, it feels good when you're having a rough day to get the pat on the back and the positive feedback. We all need that. We all need that validation at some point. But this is a week to look at where you have held yourself back, held back what you need, what's calling to you, and where you feel empowered because of something outside of yourself that is actually revealing a contrast of energies, and the universe wants you to power up. Power up. What does that mean for you? Maybe it means no one can tell you when you can or cannot go sharpen your pencil. Maybe it means no one is going to influence what you order from the menu. Maybe it means they can watch you get in the car and drive to New York because you're going to do what you need to do. That's what your intuition is saying. That's where the energy is moving you forward. And this is a week where we're going to see a lot of changes, a lot of volatility, a lot of shocking developments, discord, even things where people are going to be pissed off at choices or decisions because it's not what they would choose. And keep in mind, this could be you on the receiving end of that, where you're witnessing someone do something and you think it's insane, you think it's ridiculous, but guess what? It's none of your business. None of your business. And we don't really consider that enough these days because we're kind of always expecting to know what's going on or to be connected to things, or we're nosy neighbors that want to know what everyone's doing, who they're doing it with, and how often they're doing it. Like, that's what we've become. And so when we hear it's none of your business, it's none of my business, there's something jolting about that that can also bring you back to center. And there's something about this energy needing to separate out, which is a strong theme. It's a theme of separation here, where people are separating their energy from others that aren't contributing to their self-empowerment. You could see it through that lens. You could see it through the lens of, wow, I've really been holding myself back, or I've been buying in to what others want from me or what they need from me. Or it could be a deeper realization about lifetime power dynamics that are actually quite exhausting and only waste energy and don't really serve you. So this is a big week for changes that support your truth, your intuition, your needs, that support what is energetically speaking to you, what is coming up within you that you can't ignore, you can't deny. And it's also taking responsibility for what you have maybe pushed away and making some new vows to yourself, a new promise even, that really enforces your own self-worth. And with Scorpio energy, we can get so absorbed into the other, where we can get into this dynamic of being so enmeshed into other energies that aren't even ours. And I feel like the Scorpio New Moon is going to create some powerful understandings of what is yours and what is not yours. And it could also reveal your own patterns around this. Sort of like when you go into a certain space, do you feel like your energy goes out or does it ground in? Do you feel like you can maintain your sense of self, or are you really influenced by others? If you're energetically sensitive, then you're going to be feeling other people's energies, of course, especially in various environments. But that doesn't mean you turn down who you are, or you turn down what matters to you or the messages that you're receiving. Because also for many of you who are the leaders of your soul tribe and a soul group, you're a teacher. You're teaching people how to energetically tap into their power and to trust their intuition. And so let's say you take off on that road trip to New York, have an amazing time. It's life-changing. You meet great people. You open up to wonderful opportunities. It's like there were only good things awaiting you. And what if you had listened to someone else? Then you come home, you come back, you share this journey, you share this trip and how it was driven by your intuition or this energy that you couldn't quite logically understand. And you share it with that person who was opposing you, who thought it was a horrible idea. Well, either they can learn from it or not. That's their choice. But the bigger picture is you stepped into a new level of your own power and personal trust that no one else can do for you. No one else can live that for you. So this is a very experiential energy where the universe is bringing up something for you to choose based on what is best for your own empowerment, where you're busting through fears and where you're taking responsibility for where you've held yourself back because of external influences or external energies. So yes, a lot of breaking out is at play here. And again, this energy is strongest November 10th until November 18th. So I will talk about it again in next Wednesday's show. But just so you know, and you can be aware of the themes, the universe is going to be showing you where you're ready to level up into more of your power. So again, that's the biggest energy that we have unfolding. Now, we also have Venus entering Libra on November 8th, and Venus moving into one of her home signs is going to support whatever has been developing or coming up for you during eclipse season. As now she is going to come through and energetically balance the energy. She's going to provide you with a different perspective. She's going to ask you to consider things that you couldn't see or you weren't willing to see because the eclipse energies were perhaps all-encompassing, very big or dramatic, and you couldn't see beyond what was happening in the moment. Now Venus provides the other side of the energy and asks you to be objective, to detach, to sit with it, and to look at maybe where you overly personalized something. And that could be something that you're realizing was a big theme in October. But where did you overly personalize energies that now you can just let it go and detach from it, not allow it to affect you, and certainly not allow it to affect your heart, your self-love, or who you truly are at a core level. We live in a world where people are going to do what they're going to do. People have their own motives, their own driving desires, their own belief systems, their own fears, the whole spectrum of what makes us human. But it's not about you when you can take yourself out of the equation and look at it for what it was, or to understand what you were learning. So this is a balancing energy here as Venus enters Libra on November 8th. And you might have some conversations that open up new understandings. There could be some things that reveal themselves that you weren't aware of in October. And now you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I get it. Sure, I understand why that was happening for them or what was coming up. I got it now. So in this way, Venus in Libra can bring in more frequencies of peace, of settling things down, and also of recognizing what is yours and what is not yours at all. Then on November 9th, we have Mercury entering Sagittarius. And as Mercury enters Sag, he makes an immediate square to Saturn in Pisces at 0 degrees. Now, Saturn is stationing direct, but hasn't moved, meaning Saturn is now direct, but hasn't budged from 0 degrees of Pisces. He's just hanging out there, gathering his intentions, understanding his commitments, what he needs to do differently as he moves forward here. And this square to Mercury in Sagittarius is one of stopping to think it through. Let me just sit with this, where you're more aware of your words, you're more aware of your thoughts and your communications, you're also aware of information and anything that could feel like a block, sort of like, how am I going to do this? Because that Mercury in Sagittarius wants to move forward, wants to do things in a big way and to go for it. It's a very excitable Mercury. It's one that is inquisitive and wants to learn and can be quite scattered. But this square to Saturn in Pisces on November 9th could be a day that you just need time to think it through. And maybe you retract, maybe you hold off on responding, maybe there's things that you don't initiate or you don't want to go into conversation about. It's a very pensive energy. Again, November 9th. And you could even want to hermit. You might just want time to yourself and you don't want to engage in a lot of talk. You're thinking something through privately. So certainly honor that if that's what you're feeling. And to also not get too stuck in the moment, because Mercury squaring Saturn can be discouraging. There can be a disappointment there. There can be something that you wanted, you were planning on, you were waiting for the news to come through, and it comes back as a do-over, as corrections, things you need to edit or change, things that aren't going to work. And when Saturn's involved, it's often somebody who's in charge who gives you that information, whether that is a father figure, a mentor, your boss, someone who has more wisdom, who's been around the block, they've had multiple rodeos, and they're like, okay, this isn't going to work. Let's regroup. Let's look at it differently. Let's take some time to adjust and then approach this in a new way. So again, November 9th is a day where for all the ways you want to move forward or to do something, there could be some kind of standstill, challenge, or momentary stop sign in order to check in and hear what that Saturn in Pisces is telling you. So after that day is when the energy gets turned up, as I mentioned for a majority of this podcast. November 10th, November 11th, we're going to have Mars in Scorpio opposing Uranus retrograde in Taurus at 21 degrees exactly. And then we have the Scorpio New Moon, where both the Sun and Moon in Scorpio oppose Uranus retrograde in Taurus at 21 degrees. And this would be a very important time to check in on your intentions and to be aware that the changes that are coming through are somehow very necessary. And that's because Uranus is the more powerful energy signature amongst all these oppositions. Uranus wants us to continue to embrace our liberation and our authenticity. It's also the planet that's helping us accelerate through our human experience and become more multidimensional. So this is the energy of quantum changes. And if you have planets or points around 21 degrees of the fixed signs, so 21 degrees of Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, or Aquarius, this is going to be bigger for you. I would actually say 20 to 22 degrees of the fixed signs, where there's things that maybe you had some deeper understandings last July and August of 2022. So over a year ago, we had the exact conjunction with Mars and Uranus in Taurus. And here they are now meeting up through exact opposition and revealing the other side of something, the other deeper need or desire. It can even be a very passionate awakening of some kind, where going back to the contrast here, there could be things that you're seeing in a whole new light and it stirs you up, like it stirs up the physical body, which is what Mars is about. And so there could be something here that is really getting to you and you have to physically move the energy. It could even feel impulsive, like there's something you have to do outside of what the mind thinks. And that's because Mars can be quite primal. And when it opposes Uranus, it opens up more of those primal desires. And all of a sudden you find yourself moving ahead or doing something, even if you haven't fully thought it through. Again, the energy is speaking to you. The energy is propelling you forward in some capacity. Then this Scorpio new moon, it could feel more emotional, that something is coming up, almost like a volcanic eruption. Something is rising up that has to come out, that has to be released. And that's part of how Scorpio energy is actually at its healthiest. Scorpio needs to release. It needs to do something that allows the energy to flow and allows it to come out in a way that's also quite intentional. In fact, because Scorpio is fixed water, it reminds me of a pressure washer, and how when you're using a pressure washer, you've got to be clear on what you're aiming at what you're digging into, because it will blast it all away. It will remove all of the mold and dirt and grime and guck. It will clear it all out, which is beautiful, but it does so with a force. So there's a force of energy here coming through us that we're meant to really get to the root of. What is this truly about? Is there a fear rising up? Is there something coming out that you've been sensing, and now here it is front and center, and you've got to do something with it? And that can be quite intense. So we're going to have a lot of emotional energy to manage this week. And again, it will be working with you more intentionally if you have planets or points between 20 and 22 degrees of the fixed signs. But it's also supporting you beautifully if you have planets or points between 20 and 22 degrees of the water signs and the earth signs, because then it's helping move the energy forward that's been blocked, limited, or stuck. So here comes the pressure washer, cleaning something out of your life, really digging in to more of what you've been holding. And the universe is saying, you don't need this anymore. This isn't serving you. In fact, this is where you're ready to break free and to own more of who you are and to power up in a way that allows you to trust yourself more. Trust yourself more. And I feel like that's what the pressure washer could reveal. It's like when everything is removed, when you've cleaned off all of the dirt on those pavers, what you see, what remains is what's essential. And it might be quite fascinating to watch as the universe reveals what is ready to be blasted apart and removed so that you can be more empowered. And actually, it can be so meditative and relaxing to pressure wash and watch as things peel away or peel off, especially after it has accumulated. I mean, this is interesting. I'm seeing the pressure washer, because obviously I'm not done with this metaphor. The pressure washer on the heart space, on the root chakra, the pressure washer maybe even cleansing the solar plexus or the crown chakra. Just trust whatever you're ready to deeply clean and wash off, because that's what this week is about. And just a disclaimer that this podcast is not sponsored by DeWalt tools or equipment. So as we approach the Scorpio new moon, it's requiring you to power up, to transform something that maybe you've been pushing off, avoiding, not wanting to look at, not wanting to deal with it. But with the strong Mars involved, you're going to have the energy stir up within you. There's going to be something that makes it apparent of what you need to do or what you need to make moves on. This energy also can feel quite erratic, and it can be difficult to sleep. You could feel it pulsing through your nervous system. You could feel like you have to be more intentional in calming yourself, in centering, in grounding, in allowing things to move out so that you aren't overwhelmed by these frequencies. And after the Scorpio new moon, we will have Mercury in Sagittarius sextile Venus in Libra at 8 degrees on November 15th. And that is a supportive energy for being able to discuss and say what's on your mind, what you've been processing, what's been going on for you. That's a good day for communications and for opening up to the bigger picture of what's next. So overall, a big week of energies here that will continue into the rest of November. So things are being ramped up and accelerated, and know that you're going to probably see quite clearly what you're ready to shift. And the universe is here to help with those changes, ready or not. And even if it's quite volatile and uncomfortable, it won't last for long. It will move through. It won't hang around. It's almost like there could be some zaps of insights and some things that you're meant to work with and make moves on. But then after you do that, the energy does tend to calm down as we go into December. So yes, a good 3 weeks of this energy moving us forward, accelerating us on our ascension journey, opening us up to more of our spiritual gifts and intuition, and ultimately learning how to love yourself more, to honor your energy, and to be more empowered, even if it comes up through challenges or contrasts. And don't be surprised if you set an intention with this Scorpio new moon to bust out of something that's been holding you back and it transpires quickly. Like you move through a financial fear. You move through something that you don't know what to do with. You don't know what to do about it. And the universe gives you immediate messages, immediate next steps. That's how this energy can beautifully support you. So be very clear in what you're asking the universe for, and know that the universe hears you. It hears those requests and those messages. It understands what would support you, but you have to ask for it because the universe isn't going to interfere with our free will or our sovereignty. In fact, the universe matches your vibration, matches your desires, and shows you what energy is there for you to work with. So it's a very beautiful time to set those powerful intentions for growth, transformation, truth, anything you desire, and see what then comes up with the Scorpio new moon. I have a separate video for you on YouTube discussing the Scorpio new moon, more of the energetics involved. So do check out that video as I go through the astrology chart, and you can see what may be coming up for you in your own life as well. For those of you who are a little more advanced in astrology or you're ready for the next step, please check out my How to Read Your Progressed Chart program, because it's another timeline of your energy that shows you what you're meant to experience in this lifetime. Your progressed chart is a fascinating look at your lifetime energies, and it also shows more of what is coming up for you right now. So in this program, I also teach you how to identify milestone years in your life, which is when the progressed sun changes astrological signs. I also show you the significance of your progressed moon, of what's going on with your other progressed planets, how it relates to your natal chart, and so on. So if you're ready to learn next level astrology, please check out that course. It's currently on sale for 50% off. You don't need a coupon code. It's on sale. And I hope it helps you with looking at the themes that you're moving through right now and what the universe is showing you through your energy. And to end the show, I have a very happy update to share with you about my family member, Jaden. Jaden is 19 years old. He's not my son, by the way. Some of you thought this was my son. It's not my son. He is my nephew. And he has now been released to go home after 131 days since his transplant. He has been in the hospital and in a care facility since the June solstice. So back in June 21st, 22nd is when the transplant occurred. He has been doing so great on this side of that experience. He's had some dips in his numbers, but overall they've been strong and improving throughout the months that his body was adjusting to the new stem cells and to what he was healing and what he's been undergoing. So it's a beautiful testament to the body's ability to heal and also to the human spirit. I feel that he is quite an inspiring young man. And one of the beautiful developments that's come from this is that because he's received such great care and support from nurses and those in the medical profession, it's inspired him to pursue that as his own career path, which is certainly a gift of this energy. Because he is 19, almost 20, this coincided with a nodal return, which happens for everyone about 18, 19 years of age, and opens you up to a new direction or a new life path to follow. And so the positive developments that have come from this experience are certainly going to influence his path going forward, as well as his ongoing healing journey. So just thanking you all again for your donations, your care, your support, your healing vibes. It's all made a difference. The amount of global support that you have provided is beyond anything I could have expected. Yes, I'm getting emotional because this is exactly the kind of human heart-to-heart support we are here to give each other that cannot be replicated or duplicated by clones, by AI, by robots, by anything that's not human. And that's one way I look at these experiences, is that we need each other in ways that nothing else can replace us. Nothing else can come through and be the human heart, be the healing energy that we are capable of offering, creating, and receiving. So thanks again to all of you who have asked about him, who have checked in on him, who have been interested in his journey, as he was diagnosed with aplastic anemia, which is something that not everyone makes it out of. And it's a very serious prognosis to receive. And I'm so happy that his family, especially his mom, was able to be there with him every step of the way. So now they are home, which is a whole new adjustment to make after being in a hospital and in a care facility. And they are learning what it means to live life in a new way and to get back to normal. So again, thank you all for your care and support. And another quick announcement to share with you is that our friends at Jamfa, who make the CBD oils and products that so many of you love, they are having a sale right now. Buy one, get one free on their SETI CBD oils in all sizes. So there are 7 of these products, and they are buy one, get one when you use coupon code SETI BOGO. I will put it below the podcast here. And then you can also use coupon code Astrology to get 30% off other items. So wanted to share that with you in case any of you wanted to restock or even wanted to try their products. So check out Jampha, JAMPHA.com, where they create Tibetan plant and mineral medicine that is infused with some very high frequency ingredients and herbal concoctions. They have great stuff. So wanted to pass that along to you and hope that is something that is timely for you as well. Thank you again for joining me. I'll be back every Monday and Wednesday with another astrology topic for you. In the meantime, you can find all of my current offerings and courses over at mollymccord.online, and be sure to check out my YouTube playlists as well. Thank you so much. I'm wishing you a beautiful Scorpio New Moon, and I'll see you back here on the other side of that energy. Take good care.